Colombo, the commercial capital and the largest city of the resplendent island, Sri Lanka. Located in the southwestern part of the country, the city has everything to offer to the casual visitor. Temperate climate, magnificent beaches, curious mix of history, fragrant spices and colorful customs. But the moment you set your foot in the northern part of the country, you get to see a different Sri Lanka altogether. The deep scars of the nearly 30 years of war are visible everywhere. The worst sufferers of the war were civilians. Caught between the crossfire of Sri Lankan security forces and LTTE, thousands of civilians lost their lives. Many more lost their limbs and sustained injuries. And those who survived lost their possessions, livelihood, their homes and hearth. They became displaced, internally displaced persons, moving from one place to another just to cling on to dear life. Spending endless nights in the relief camps, they needed support for their rehabilitation.
Housing was one of the critical areas of needs of the displaced families, because as you know, most of the houses were damaged during the final stages of the humanitarian operation, and even when the area was under LTT control, there were several families, nearly 30,000 families did not have houses. So housing has been a problem, and with the displacement that became so acute.
President of Sri Lanka, Mahinda Rajapaksa, visited India and met Prime Minister Manmohan Singh in June 2010. Government of India announced a major initiative to construct 50,000 houses for the internally displaced persons in the northern and eastern parts of Sri Lanka. To begin this project, it was decided to first complete a pilot project of 1,000 houses in the northern province of Sri Lanka. Government of India through the Ministry of External Affairs entrusted this huge responsibility to HPL, Hindustan Prefab Limited. HPL, an ISO 9000-2008 company, is a premium organization under the Ministry of Housing and Urban Poverty Alleviation, Government of India. HPL has its corporate office at Jangpura, New Delhi, and 5 regional offices at Patna, Shillong, Cuttack, Thiruvananthapuram and at Delhi. HPL has successfully completed projects across 17 states in India. And when it came to making 1,000 houses in Sri Lanka, HPL was a natural choice for this work. A detailed survey of the area was the first step. A technical team headed by CMD HPL visited Sri Lanka in April 2010.
After interacting with the beneficiaries, the people who are going to stay in these houses, it has been decided that instead of going for prefab, let us go for the conventional, because of the various environmental aspects, because of the raw materials, and because the most important thing is the acceptance by the beneficiaries.
After the detailed survey by the HPL, our team was pressed into action to plan and design a suitable house for the internally displaced persons. After considering many options, the team came out with the design which was modified a little later on. The housing unit of 550 square feet consists of 2 bedrooms, 1 drawing room and a beautiful covered entrance. There is a kitchen with a chimney, keeping in mind the cooking habits of the beneficiaries. Every care is taken to keep provision for natural light and ventilation. The roof of the house is made of terracotta tiles. Toilet and bathroom are kept at a distance outside the living area. The houses are designed to fit the rural landscape of this part of Sri Lanka. Every effort was made to accommodate the taste, traditions, requirements and habits of the locals. The pilot housing project of 1,000 houses was spread over 24 locations in 5 districts: Jaffna, Kilinochchi, Mannar, Vayunia and Mullaitivu in the northern province of Sri Lanka. The total cost of the project was 53.4 crore rupees. But this was not going to be an easy task. There were many locations which were made available after clearing the forest. So transport connectivity with the city was missing in almost all the locations. In addition to this, there were problems of non-availability of electricity and water for construction work.
It is not a simple commercial project, it is a very difficult project. Most of the housing sites had very poor infrastructure, such as approach roads were absolutely lacking. In fact, we had to start constructing the approach roads first. There was no water resource in the housing site even nearby, so therefore the project needed to bring the water from outside for construction of houses, and virtually there was no electricity at any of the housing sites. In addition to that, there were difficulties in procuring the materials, particularly sand and gravel. Sand in some districts was not available, it had to be procured from other districts, and gravel, as I understand, was not available in the entire northern province, it had to be procured from I think Anuradhapura district. And when it comes to labor, because of the history that the northern province had to undergo 30 years of war, the skilled labor was also not available, whether it is mason or carpenter. The skilled laborers have to be procured from the southern part of Sri Lanka. So virtually with all the material building material constraints and the labor constraints, the project had to be undertaken.
The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. The work on the pilot project started on 9th May 2011. Between May and November 2011, the work moved at a snail's pace. This was a very difficult period. Establishing supply lines, making access roads to get the supplies to the sites, and arranging labor took a lot of time. On many locations, sites were not handed over to HPL in time, as they had to be cleared of landmines before being handed over for construction. With monsoon arriving in the month of November, construction activity came to a halt. By the end of November, 97 houses were completed. Arivial Nagar 1 in Kilinochchi district was the first cluster housing complex to be completed. It has 17 houses. On 18th January 2012, the first lot of 47 houses was handed over to the beneficiaries by the then External Affairs Minister of India, S.M. Krishna.
முதல் நாங்கள் சரியான கஷ்டப்பட்டோம். இருக்கிறதுக்கு காணி அதுகள் இல்லாமல் வீடுகள் இது இல்லாமல் பிள்ளைகள படிப்பு இதுகள் பள்ளிக்கூடம் ஸ்கூல் சரியான மாதிரி தூரம் தான் முந்தி போகிறது. இப்போ கடவுளேண்டு இந்தியா அரசாங்கம் வந்து எங்களுக்கு இந்த வீடு இருக்கிறதுக்கு காணி பக்கத்துலேயே ஸ்கூல் பிள்ளைகள் படிக்கக்கூடிய அளவுக்கு கரண்ட் வசதிகள் எல்லாம் செய்து கொடுத்து இப்போ எந்த ஒரு கஷ்டங்கள் எந்த ஒரு இதுகளும் இல்லாமல்
எங்களுக்கு சொந்த காணியதல் இல்லாத காரணத்தால் எங்களுக்கு வீடு திட்டம் பெற இல்லை. இந்திய அரசாங்கத்தினாலும் இந்திய மக்களினாலும் எங்களுக்கு இந்தியன் வீட்டு திட்டம் கிடைச்சது. அதால் இந்திய அரசாங்கத்துக்கும் இந்திய மக்களுக்கும் எனது இந்தியன் வீட்டு திட்டம் சார்பில் நன்றியை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கின்றேன்.
Subsequently, the construction work picked up speed, and in the next 3 months, almost 500 additional houses were built. The tally of the completed houses went up to 365 by the end of February 2012. In 9 months, a total of 365 houses were built, which is a little more than 1/3 of the total number of houses. The month of March saw an additional 189 houses added to the tally. Till 3rd April 2012, a total of 554 houses were ready. On 18th April 2012, second lot of 483 houses were handed over to the beneficiaries by the leader of the opposition in the parliament, Srimati Sushma Swaraj. To complete the rest of 446 houses, it took only 4 months. The tally of completed houses stood at 667 on 31st May 2012, 945 on 31st June 2012 and 1000 on 3rd August 2012. The pilot housing project of 1000 houses took 15 months to be completed. Braving poor infrastructure, inclement weather, reptiles and landmines, the engineers of HPL maintained a strict quality audit throughout the duration of the project. Despite all odds, HPL delivered quality work and in a record time. On 20th August 2012, third and the final lot of 53 houses were handed over to the beneficiaries by the then Minister of Housing and Urban Poverty Alleviation and Culture, Kumari Selja.
India and Sri Lanka and the people are very close. We enjoy very close, warm relations for centuries, for thousands of years, and I'm sure that in the future also ties will always deepen and remain friendly. May God bless all of you and your children, and I hope that your children will have a very happy future ahead of them. Thank you. Jai Hind.
The pilot housing project has gone a long way in strengthening bilateral ties between India and Sri Lanka.
From our point of view, I, as the secretary to the Presidential Task Force, I view this support from the government at the biggest. When you take all this scenario into consideration, it is the biggest by any measure of, by any standard of measurement. So we are thankful to the government of India for that.
வினோதராஜா அமலராணி என்ற பெயர் வட்டாப்பிளையில் இருக்கிறது இந்த நாங்கள் அதுக்கு பிறகு இந்த இந்தியன் வீட்டு திட்டம் தந்த அப்புறம் இங்கே வந்து இருக்கிறோம். ஒரு மகன் இருக்கிறார்.
ஒரு பிரச்சனையும் இல்லாமல் என்ன போல மிச்ச மக்களும் நல்ல சந்தோஷமாக இந்த திட்டத்தில் வீட்டை நல்ல முறையில் அனுபவித்து நல்ல மாதிரி வாழ்ந்து வருகின்ற நான் தலைவியாகிய நான் சொல்கிறேன். மற்ற எந்த ஒரு குறையும் இல்லை இந்த வீட்டில். நாங்கள் இப்போ ஒரு நல்ல வாழ்க்கை ஒன்று அடைஞ்சிருக்கிறோம் இந்திய அரசாங்கத்தால். இந்திய மக்களும் இந்திய அரசாங்கத்தாலேயும் இந்த செய்யப்பட்ட நிறுவனங்களாலேயும் நாங்கள் மிக சந்தோஷம் அடைஞ்சு கொண்டு இருக்கிறோம். அந்த வீட்டில் தொடர்ந்தும் அதில் வாழ்ந்து வருவோம்ன்றதை நான் சந்தோஷமாக சொல்லுவேன்.
வீடு கட்டி இருந்ததில்லை, அவளாக்கும் பஞ்சையிலால் ஓடுபட்டே தெரிஞ்சு இப்போ இந்தியன் பொறுப்பாளர் வந்து எங்களுக்கு இந்த வீட்டு திட்டம் தந்து நாங்கள் நிம்மதியாக பிள்ளைகளெல்லாம் நினையாமல் கொள்ளாமல் நல்லா சந்தோஷமாக இருந்து வாழ்கிறோம். எங்களுக்கு இது தந்தது ஏதோ பெரிய ஒரு என்னென்று சொல்கிறேன்டே தெரியாத அந்த வாழ்க்கை.
While the government of India provided these houses to the internally displaced persons, the government of Sri Lanka has to provide infrastructure and other essential services. Water is a primary need, so keeping the terrain and the way of life of the local people in mind, provision for a community well was made in every housing cluster. In some areas, people dug their personal wells. There is arrangement for supply of water through tankers in some locations. Residents are encouraged to plant trees and grow vegetables for their daily needs in the half-acre land provided with the dwelling units. Some people have taken to poultry and animal husbandry to earn their living. Some have opened small grocery shops, which is helping them make their two ends meet. Education opens doors to new opportunities and growth. So the Indian government has been helping Sri Lanka putting schools in place. Efforts are on to bring about all-round development of the area. Rail and road projects are coming up which will usher in growth. Now when you pass through these settlement areas, you see a new Sri Lanka emerging. Social and cultural life is taking roots again. Students are back in classrooms. Farmers are back in their fields. Marketplaces are buzzing with activity. Life is coming back on track. People are trying to piece together their lives again. The dream of living a decent life is finally becoming a reality. For HPL, it's a matter of great satisfaction that it has done its bit by providing 1,000 families a roof over their heads.